And traders, it is your coach, BluSky Breezy, here with another Asia session. We will give it a couple minutes before we get into everything. Hope everybody had a good day out there as always. Today was a good day, really good day for the Bulls. So we'll give it a few. We'll do a brief recap, and then we'll get into some trades. Get everything pulled up real quick. All right, there we go. Got the stream pulled up. I'm ready to rock. RQ, one loves RQ. All right, already in the Discord. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. I feel like my camera looks a little weird, but we're going to get it rocking. Even like in Discord. That's hilarious. All right, team, we'll go ahead and get it started. Put my X-ray vision on. So what happened today? We kind of talked about it in Power Hour. If you guys were there, I kind of went over a few things the market's been doing, and I want to lead with that because I do think price has been behaving abnormal. Today was not an abnormal day. Today was probably the most technical, clear day I've seen in so long, and it gave us a secondary opportunity. And I know I've mentioned like we rarely get that. The reality is we should always get that. It's just some of the opens have been so bullish. We traded Friday, for example, and we waited 40 minutes to get in a long at the very top, right? That trade was kind of experimental, but like that's the type of market we've been in to where you'll produce an hour of green candles before you even get a structural pullback. Today was not that. Today followed price behavior and personality the way it should, right? Like we have clear definable zones dating back almost, as crazy as it is, it's almost 2,000 points away at this time. But like 28.8, for example, you have a really good support area. 29.4, you have a really good resistance area that turns support, right? You have 29.75, you could call it 750, was resistance, turned support, so on and so on, right? Like that is what the market has been doing. And today was, when I think of like a clean structural retest, that was today. It wasn't really necessarily an area that was resistance, flip support. It more so used an accumulation area as support. And larger time frame entries are pretty easy. If you base your structure on larger time frame, it's easy in the sense that you can identify support or resistance, right? It's hard to get in an entry for larger time frame confirmation. You come to the 3-minute or the 5-minute, whichever you prefer, and you can just see such a very distinct W, right? Double bottom. And it's been rare that we've had an opportunity to get a secondary set on the Qs, right? Like right from the open, it goes from basically 300 all the way to 450, 150 point melt up, has some resistance here, right back down, right? So you had an opportunity to play this known range. And I put it into the futures chat earlier. What occurred today was such a technical story. Like it was so beautiful of what occurred. And the reason I say that is today was a pure inside outside model trade, right? You look at Friday's price action. and price attempted to go lower, but you had 0 time frame structural close under that prior day low. So what are your expectations when that occurs? And I'm going to go over to QQQ to give a better example of what I mean, because I do want this to be um, very identifiable and clear, because I think when I think of trading strategies, this is one of the clearest, cleanest strategies that's out there. And it's really market dynamics 101. Like, how does the market move? How does it function? Are you above? Are you below? So on and so on. So dating back to Friday, like, we just really mark the prior day high of Friday, right? That'd be this blue line here. You look at prior day low, for example, right here. So what is the expectation in this range, and how does it produce? Let's get down to some smaller time frames. You come into the day. So what did the day do? What did today do? That's kind of hard to say for whatever reason. Today basically tapped prior day low. You had no structural candle close under it. So what is your expectation when you're not breaking down prior day low or prior day high? Well, your expectation is an inside trade model of prior day price. This is a very good example of what those expectations would be. You get momentum, you expect to take profit about 50% of that day, and ultimately you want to target prior day high as a take profit area. Price behaves so systematically to that structure, and it even gave you an extension to where if you were to take prior day high breakout, it gave you that opportunity as well. What I will say is interesting, which I have not looked at any news or anything like that, but come to the end of today, I expected this area up here to kind of show support. It was kind of the trend. It's been how the market's been behaving. And, the very end of power hour, 15 minutes to go, it broke that structure. And there's a few areas on this chart that you would expect to hold. You look at the 30-minute time frame. You would expect this 450, which is a really good midpoint, to hold. It just gave it up. So we have to start thinking, like, what is the next obstacle? What is the probability of seeing like this wick high up here at 380s? Given the bearish momentum, probably pretty high. We're already down 0.5%, 150 points. We want to be with that bear trend tonight, but we're going to need secondary retest opportunity to get into that trade. Ultimately, my bias flips at this 380 mark to where I am going to be looking for some risky longs. And then if we get extreme bear momentum down here to the 320s that we saw that W pattern earlier, that's going to be the high conviction long. So maybe we can get a short from, say, a retest to like the 440s to the downside. That's Q's. It's pretty aggressive right now. Looking at that last candle that just formed, it has opportunity to downside. So looking at gold, gold is kind of similar. It's a little uglier is what I'll say from a range perspective to the downside. But I think gold has an opportunity to continue this sell. It's already like this area is, I have this marked here. I'm going to go to a wider time frame. I have this marked from, I believe I did it on an hourly chart, but it's really holding true across every time frame, right? This area has been a structural support area. It's really from 45.15 to about 45.25. So about 10 points of support. It has now broken that support secondary time, came up and retested it. So I believe gold is setting up for another big short as it's been doing. Clear downtrend on gold. Larger time frame, everything aligns for shorting on gold. It is gold. It'll break your heart, but I believe that's going to be my bias on gold. If it reclaims about 45.17, that bias kind of shifts. But that's kind of the general thing I'm looking at. It's going to be a short on gold. You come back to the Qs. This thing has got a crap ton of bear momentum. That is a immediate big candle. It's like an 80-point bear candle that's just formed. So we'll let this cool off a little bit. We'll see what we can get into. And as always, hope everybody had a good day. I wanted to go over that inside outside model because when I think of clear days, man, I really feel like today was one of the more clear days that we've had in the market in such a long time. So if you don't use that method, I would highly encourage you guys to look into that method. It's going to help guide you from a bias perspective. It's going to help you develop patience, waiting for structure, and just really highly underrated strategy within the market. So let's see what we can get done tonight. Let's see. See if we can get a good retest for a short entry on gold. Excuse me. Man, NQ played no games. Couldn't even get the recap out. It just blasted VWAP and knifed 80 points, basically. Kind of makes my gold thesis. I see the structure on gold. I think it's very, very clear. Like, I see the structural retest on gold. That's like pent up resistance here. And again, what was support flipped to resistance. But if the equities are coming down, it changes that variable a little bit. We still get out there. We still try to see if we can kind of front run this short a little bit. But it does change it a little bit. Excuse me. All right, we're going to get out here on gold. We're going to see what we can do. Excuse me. Yeah, and, man, Qs is not calming down at all. When we hit that 380, we'll have to see. I don't have confidence in that 380 comparable to like this lower zone. So we could see a big bounce from that 380, but really, if I'm thinking about price and what I'm relying on this area to be, it's kind of more so a zone. It does have some slippage to the body. So about 380 to 360, 355. And I wanted to get in with that trend, with the bear trend. This thing's already gone from that perspective. So we'll see the interaction approaching this area here. Man, my nose is itching like crazy. Trying not to pick my nose on the stream. Yeah, she's moving. She's moving tonight to the bear side. It's an interesting change of events coming in into the structure, which is really good for tomorrow. I'm so glad we got a pullback. I've loved every pullback into the nighttime because it's been It's been reversed almost every single day intraday. Now, let's see. Let's see if gold can do it. Doesn't look like it. What's this range? So on gold, I would love. We'll see. We'll manage tight up here in this 16 range, but ultimately, I would love 10 points of downside right to this area here. Seems logical if it does reject this base to retest these areas. Yeah, right to this wick. Anyone joining? Let's see. Let's see. The short on gold is valid until 45.16, as I mentioned. If it closes above that, what was support may again turn into support. And looking at the TA, earlier really produces a very clear picture of what gold is attempting to do, right? The only variable is the equity market started selling off. So it kind of changed that bias rather quickly. I'm gonna hold on gold, and if it closes up here, I'm out of the trade. I'm gonna look to potentially flip. I don't like flipping right away or too quickly. So we'll see. I'm gonna give it a close and see if we produce any continuation on this one. For now, gold is breaking my heart. And then we are patiently waiting for 380, 385 on the Qs. Boy said, pick it up. Yeah, this is probably going to be an L, so I'm gonna lighten the load a little bit just to lower the L's. I don't want to get married to this. I'm not going to continue to hold if we get any sustainable continuation above that 16. That is some strength on gold. That is a big. I don't want to say big. It's 5 point upside, but if it closes above here, I think that conversation of what I'm looking for, it definitely shifts a little bit. So we'll give it the close. If we see the continuation, we're going to exit that trade and look to revisit it. Oh, I just saw that in the chat. That this is MJ. Okay, that is an interesting choice of names, MJ. I don't know if I can support that name. Trying to give this an opportunity. It's not too far out of the range. If we can come back under 16, take a secondary fill in that range, this could be a structural retest. But if it does, secondary print above this high at the 19s, I gotta exit this trade because it can melt up another 6 points really, really quick on gold. And it's funny because I was talking to Justin before I came on, and we were like, "Hey, what is price doing?" And I'm sitting here looking at it consolidate for 2 hours, right? And then that Asia liquidity came in, and boy, that conversation shifted immediately. It's almost 100 points lower from that variable. And this trend is way like I was thinking. You had VWAP right here. I'm thinking, okay, you have this trend, you have secondary breakout potential to the upside. That is gone. That conversation is gone. We're gonna look to catch some bounce down here in the 380s, but we need to be careful because it definitely has potential to come. It seems extended for sure, but I don't want to put anything past bearish momentum. I see gold. Gold is looking like it is going to close above that range. And man, I'm debating on trying this long just because I know it has the potential, but the slippage could be about 30 points lower. I'm gonna attempt it. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna see if we can kind of layer into the zone and just kind of see if it produces what I'm thinking it can. If we do get a strong bounce, like I'm targeting about 50-point upside to this bottom wick right here, back to the 430s. We don't see a strong bounce and you start to think 350, bottom of that zone, and potentially targeting this liquidity down here. And I'm gonna keep this tight on gold. I'm gonna exit this trade. It has true potential under the 16s to go bearish and kind of target this low, but this is an intentful move, right? To kind of reclaim this structure. I don't want to fight gold. I've learned the hard way not to fight gold at all. So if it wants to reclaim this base, kind of consolidate down here and turn this area that I'm looking to be resistance into support, hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for getting back into the trade, going to the long side. Let's see if this wick is solidified support at that 380s. I'm gonna do a secondary ad to see. Like if this wick is the turning point, it's got definitely so much work to do to solidify any sense of a downtrend ending. But we'll see if we can front load it correctly. Let me move this bad boy up. I'm gonna look to keep that entry around the 380s and like really manage risk under that. I don't want to hold to the bottom of the zone. It's too wide to hold. So like 380s, if I get a close under 380s, like I'm gonna exit that trade as well. Hopefully your boy doesn't go 0 for 2 tonight, but if it does happen, no harm, no foul. Look at this. I'm drinking coffee at 7:30 p.m. I should let everybody know what type of day I had. And then after this, me and my wife are gonna go take a 3,000 step walk to end the day. Yeah, gold is literally melting up. There's a there's an intentful move to get back in that range. Silver, same thing. Silver reclaimed VWAP, and they're both melting. Excuse me. All right, team. We got 20 points on the Qs. Let's see. I would ideally, and this is risky since we've already seen 20 points. I would like to add in. I'd like to get a little more up here if I'm assuming I'm going to get to 430, right? Like this candle here kind of starts the bullish conversation. The next candle is super important for continuation. Because if not, it could be a lower high, right, into a new lower low. So ideally, I would love to get another one. If not, and it goes to 430, I'll take the money. All right, 30 points there from the 380s. And this one kind of played out the way I was expecting gold to play out, except inverse, right? Like I expected these candles here. And I kind of probably need to see on gold, like what stopped that? I'm not too sure. There's a very strong 30-minute on gold. And I would expect like it used this area here, which is super interesting to me. It used this area. What is here? I see, yeah, you have some support, but you would expect a little more to the downside model here to like target some of this, comparable to like this wick here. So that's an interesting spot where gold decided to hold. I'm gonna see it. It does make sense. You go to the 4 hour, like it's a 4 hour base here. You have good wicks. If you were to go long here, you can manage under those wicks. Like I see it, but I would have expected a lower test on gold just from what smaller time frame was telling me. This is pretty. When I think about price, like this is pretty clear intent for price. But obviously, as I always mention, like it's gold. It'll do stuff like this where you think you have a good technical picture is set up to have a good high probability trade. You take a structural break, and then a gold will it'll do it. It'll do it for sure. And I know we got a smaller stream tonight. Thursday, man, we had it jumping off. So if anyone's got any questions, want me to recap, go over anything, perfect time. Perfect time. We're just going to wait to see if we can produce about a 50-point long here. If we can, amazing. We're kind of just in the trade waiting on it. I was interested in oil under this pivot I have, under this 92.2. I feel like that's going to be a good structure break on oil to kind of target some of these lower ranges. So if it does, which oil, man, this thing's ugly. I know I looked at it briefly earlier. It's kind of ugly within this range. I think it has potential to drop though. Like that 92 mark, I got a couple key pivots that I've been trading it on. If it breaks under here, I think we can get some good downside on oil. We won't be trading that tonight, but it's something to keep in mind. That 92 mark is pretty critical for downside or upside structure. All right, we have attempted comparable to taking profit up 30 points. I'm going to attempt to get in, and I added another position long side here just to see if we can actually produce that banger, as I mentioned, and get a little more bang for our buck. I don't think the secondary add is needed because it did obviously raise my cost basis. But I do want to see if we can hit this 430, which would be the 50 points, and kind of make it a little more worth my while tonight. If you mirrored, you did everything. We're up $230. I know we took the L on gold. It's a good trade. Nacho, the bro. What's up, Nacho? Man, I have something in my nose and I'm just like, it's in there for sure. All right, team, that's 40 points from the 380s. Just keep that in mind. If we followed the 380s, 40 points. 30 minutes, 40 points. Appreciate it, Nacho. Blasky already said hi, man. You already know. Me and Blasky talk often in DMs, man, every day. Welcome in though. That's the only thing with with not being in Discord is like, I go through my thing of welcoming everybody individually. So I don't know who's here. Hey, if you're here, man, I hope you're making money. That's all that matters. We got a good trade right now, and gold is playing games as it's going to do. That rejection of that top of the zone, it's probably going to come back under VWAP and produce that short. Now, I'm not going to be surprised if it does at all. I didn't want to risk that breakout though. It's got some room above, like holding that gold trade. We had the 18 entry, 15. We took a secondary reaction. Like that's 10 points upside. This is my typical stop. So like I would have got stopped out 10 points either way from that injury, but it's just not worth the risk because just look at it on any time frame that's large enough, right? Like you look at what this area has done, it's produced some serious range to the upside back into secondary chop, right? So like this zone here is not a zone that I'm like trying to hold through, right? Unless it's in my direction. All right. We don't want to see hesitation here. That's the thing too. Like we have yet to break the downtrend, like structure. It's gonna have to close back above that 430s. Like when that close happens, then you kind of in the bear trend a little bit. Right? Like this is that's a damn candle and a half from the open, right? So like we're gonna have to close above that 430 to get out of the bear territory for sure. 15 minute is very, very bearish. So we saw 40 points. Hope you guys locked in, kind of took some profit. 40 points is it's good for after hours. The Bears are not playing tonight, guys. They're here. Hard for me to short into this area, this zone. I think our entry kind of gives the logic behind why it's hard for me to short into it because you had that reaction that produced 40 points. So if we end up letting this trade go red, it's going to be hard for me to get into the bear side in this area. It has potential, as I mentioned, to get down here to the 350s though. Like it can absolutely do that. You got the lower high, lower low, and lower high, right? It's gonna have to close above that 430 to end that sequence. It's clear as day from what price is telling us. So if we can get a close here, conversation shifts. You get a little more confident being a bull. Until then, man, this thing can get to 350s. $40 absolutely pays the bills. I want to give it room. I think this is intentful here. Like it's not a big point sell off, but like this thing completely fizzled out. So now your next variable, you're gonna have to close above the 420s. What a number to close above, right? You're gonna have to close above this area to even attempt breakout now. You're gonna have to close. I'm not too concerned about these wicks. If you can get a close above those bodies, you have an opportunity. But until then, hey, bears can come in and break your heart. I'm gonna try to give this thing room. Like I'm gonna do my best to see if this secondary 380 kind of produces a equal low trade, but if not, I'm out of this trade. And then it's just going to be, hey, we should have taken profit at that high. Something I'm okay with, but letting a green trade go red is not ideal. Obviously, we'll give it room though. We'll see. And there goes gold, but right back to the tempting entry that I'm not going to take. I don't want to get chopped up in that same trade right above VWAP. We'll see what it does under VWAP. 336. I mean, it's got room. Like, if it doesn't hold this 380s, I struggle to short into this zone. Just me personally and my strategy. It can go back to 300, like for sure. It's not out of question at all. Like bears are. I mentioned this in Power Hour. Bears are being very opportunistic for where they're selling and when they're selling, and it's worked out in their favor big time. So if it cracks that 370 mark, I mean, you assume it's going to 350. Just me personally, like I cannot. I'm gonna struggle to go into this stuff over here. These wicks are kind of non, they're not as important. Put one on here, like 380s. It could absolutely get to the 380s pretty easily. What's probably going to happen now is it's just going to chop at our entry for 15 more minutes while we're here. This is some good momentum though. This is one thing bears have been doing a lot. They did it on Friday. It's where you've had substantial rally met by the exact same energy to the downside. So shout out to the bears, man. They've been here. Although we're at all-time highs, it's it's a no-brainer to take continuation and risky longs. The market's super bullish. The bears have been operating super effectively. Like super effectively. Need Steve to place 100 con short. Man, I know Steve's just mad he can't send memes and gifs in the chat. The best I can do is a sticker. That's it. Do we get a double bottom? That's going to be the ultimate question. Do we get a double bottom or do we get 350s? Excuse me. Look at ES Wick. What time frame, Blaskinator? What time frame? Dude, these are longs to me. That's the only thing. Like, it's gonna have to like really break this stuff to have a clean short. Like I mentioned, they're selling right where they should. They're selling away from structure, and they're bringing it right back down to the bullish, base for continuation. Like, if we were to bounce and get like good continuation back above this high tomorrow or sometime this week, like this is a very clean structural retest that you would expect for like normal price behavior. Minute ago, 1 minute. Oh, I don't look at the 1 minute, but we're looking at what are we looking at? This one here, this one. I mean, if I'm just looking at this candle here, that's a bearish candle for sure. Was it 10-point wick? Yeah, I don't see that. I don't have that here. I do see both of them right at a structural base, bearish downtrend right into key support. Bears can absolutely make this support irrelevant because they have the momentum on their side. We saw 40, 50 points out of this bad boy, and we only saw like 40 from the 380s. Man, still tough for me to say, like, could I have gotten out there? Probably, but I need my target. Like, I need to wait for that structural test. And as predicted, looks like we're going to chop right at my entry. T in the stream. What a shame. And Gold is tempting me, is what I'll say. Like, if we can get a secondary reaction, it's tempting to get into this. Makes you wonder what was the purpose of this area. Because this is kind of the play that we wanted to see start to work out. From the 316s, under VWAP, you get the continuation. This is simply to just reposition buyers. That's it. And then they flip, they get into the selling aspect, and now they drive price lower. This is the set that I was expecting to happen on gold. So that's a shame, but it's a part of the game. It is what it is. You have a 10-point wicket. I don't got anything on. I guess let me go to ES, but I don't. Okay, it's on ES. It's not on MES. If you look at MES, it's not here. So this isn't a real wick. This is going to be a data thing. Unless somebody was in that trade and produced some profit in that wick, I don't see it. Yeah, I mean, it's not on SPY, which I think I have after hours turned off. Yeah, I don't know. Right to VWAP. So if they wanted to sell it down and that was their purpose of going back to VWAP, makes sense. Getting knocked, Ricky. For now on Qs, there's really not much going on, man. I mean, we had 40-point upside. I think this is still a good set to attempt longs. You just start to wonder, like, is this a double bottom or is this going to end up being another lower high? Because it could easily break structure with the momentum that bears have. These are the sets I take, though. Like, I don't care if I lose these trades, but if I can go long off of a W and just manage risk like under this low, these are the type of trades that you kind of want to look for. Doesn't mean it's going to work out. It's super bearish right now, but like in normal conditions, like we just saw today that I recapped, you want to target these type of areas. I don't like wicks, as I've always mentioned. The wicks make it much less confidence in that trade comparable to today. You look at today's W comparable to the wicks that I just showed. Like, this is an intentful candle to reverse price, right? You have these lower wicks here, but you have strong buying bodies behind it. Kind of look at our play here. You have these two wicks, you have an intentful candle, and then you just have these wicks here, right? So you don't have that secondary confirmed buy. Doesn't mean it won't hit, but for now, you do not. Oh, y'all got taken out of that trade? That's crazy. Y'all actually got affected by that ES wick? That's insane. It's kind of weird though, because you don't see it on MES. Like, it's not here. So that's super interesting to me. You know it, Blasky. You know it, brother. You know it. All right, Tim, we'll go ahead and start wrapping it up and doing a recap of what we were looking at and kind of what the expectation of price is, at least for me. This doesn't surprise me on gold. Like, I'm not happy with that trade, but this does not surprise me for it to kind of give a secondary test for a breakout. Like, you go to the 30-minute and that zone, like these lower wicks here, this wick here, back to this low here, right? So dating back to May 17th. Like, getting the slippage to the top of this area, I am not surprised. Like, this is what gold does from a technical perspective. Like, it loves to give you clean reads. It loves to play those games and then give you continuation of that read, right? So not surprised. So where I see gold going is going to be 4507, basically 4500, and then back down to 4488. So it has room to do. I just really wanted that 16 entry, as I mentioned. So do I revisit a retest to that 16? To be honest, most likely. I most likely do visit a secondary retest to get back into gold for what I was looking for, because I still think it plays out. Qs, we had 40 points. Should have locked this in. I'm okay testing these equal lows. When it breaks this, it's going to 350. It's probably going to this low at 350. So we had a really good trade on Qs. You know, you come back to this swing low in this area here, we got to lock in. But my thinking is relevant price getting back to the 430s. That's a very real option, right? And you never have to hold through like I'm holding. I just want to be clear about that. Like, I want to give this room to hit the PT. Hey, if it doesn't, I'm going to take that loss and not really put too much thought behind the loss that I took. That's how R2R works, believe it or not. The win rate doesn't matter as much as the range, as crazy as that sounds. So hope you guys locked your money in there, because secondary to what I'm saying about the win rate in the R2R, there's never a reason to let a green trade go red. So you got to find that balance for what works for you. What works for me long term is letting the play out, right? Like giving it an opportunity to get to the max extension, or taking my loss when it doesn't, right? That's what works for me. If you're in that variable to where that doesn't work for you, take your profit, right? You see green, take green. You'll never go broke taking profit, right? It's a very real thing. And man, if anybody did, I still don't, for anyone trading ES, man, I'm sorry about that wick. That's crazy. There's a nice little 10-point wick on ES that you, like, this is a full range play that you expect for ES to produce, right? Like 10 points is a banger. So that wick is super interesting. And let's see if we get this. This continues down. You expect to see 350s. You really do. The bears are in full control of price right now, like full control, which is good coming into tomorrow. And, as much as I like being a bull, man, I want to see, I know all my bears are out there. I want to see this thing absolutely die to give like a much more structural retest in some areas that, like, currently where price is makes 0 sense. But I am praying that we get back down to like some logical retest comparable to like short-term retests that we're seeing. Yeah, gold is interesting too, because I was looking at it on my other chart. Like, this area is super important for gold from a 4-hour perspective. Like, it's a very good middle point for gold to go either way. So just to be clear where that is at basically 4,500. You could just say 4,500 on gold. super important level for gold. So be on the lookout if you're a gold trader for that reaction at 4,500. For Qs, this thing just, I'm about to take this out as we wrap up. Where we saw the 40 points was from 380. And 380, I'm going to go to an hourly chart. 380 is essentially this zone. Let me go to a 30-minute, excuse me. And I know it may be hard to see, but I'm gonna try to get it up here. So going back to the 27th, so May 27th, from 350s up until this wick right here at the 380s, like that's a zone. This is a zone that you expect a clean retest at. And we got it. I mean, we saw the very structural retest there. It did exactly what you would expect an area like this to do. We saw the follow through of that area. And you have a midpoint here at like the 360s that have like secondary good bodies of rather support or a flip to push us lower. So the 380s, it was a really good entry. It's a very good secondary entry to key areas that have shown like good support and continuation. We saw the continuation. The only thing you didn't see is the continuation follow through, right? Like we had the really good entry here from that zone. You have the solidified kind of confirmation of that zone. You have short-term continuation, but then it just fizzled out, right? Doesn't mean it won't work from the 380s. Like this area, you got some slippage, you retested the 360s, kind of the midpoint to that zone. If you can get a close back above the 380s, it can work. But until you clear, and I know it's hard to see, but until you clear the 430s, like you reclaim this wick here, this area, you're in a bearish environment because you're producing lower highs and lower lows continuously, right? So until that variable changes and you close above 430, like these areas getting broken is not surprising. It's not surprising at all. It is tough for me personally to short this. To short into this. The short was a really good break of structure to the upside, but like it's tough for me to short into support here. If it breaks 350s, that's a different scenario because then I think you can test today's low. So it would be a good continuation model from the 350s to the 300s. But this thing's extended. I mean, this is a 15-minute chart. You look at the open, this thing just slowly went down. So you will see bulls step in. You need to see if it's going to be from the 350s to the 380s or if it's going to be from the 330s to the 300s. Both of those areas can show a reaction. And then shame on gold. Gold just hit both of my targets from that downside. So it is what it is. We appreciate the feedback. I mean, I'm not too sure. I will get with Justin to see. I kind of look at the stream every now and then, but I don't look at the chart. So it's good feedback. We'll apply that feedback and try to get the chart bigger for everybody. Team, I'm going to wrap it up here. As always, appreciate you guys spending time with me. Man, we had some good trades. Terrible on gold. NQ, hey, we had 40 points. You know, should have locked it in, but I'm happy with that trade on Qs. As always, team, appreciate you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. And if you got somebody you love, man, let them know. I'm telling you, you're here one day, tomorrow you're gone. So let it be known. Peace. Appreciate you guys.